So just you speak, like, how would you want your community to honor you?
Honor me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm not really, that's not really important to me personally because, I've received a lot of honors in my lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
I think there are 13 pages on Google if you put my name in it. So I've had a lot of exposure and acknowledgement for my work over the years, and I have the respect and love of those I respect and value. My partners in different areas of work that I do,
Mm-hmm.
and young people we've been working with for a long time. For me, that's sufficient. So I'm not really focused on any special honor or recognition or award. For me, the more important focus probably should be how we support eldership as an institution and how we ensure that it survives. Because we say we are an oral people, and we talk a lot about history, and we share stories and expressions and idioms and so on. We're
Mm-hmm.
still not very disciplined about recording and writing those. And the ways in which we have always transmitted those things through our griots and storytellers, that stuff is kind of getting lost now, So for me, a good recognition would be, how do we make sure we strengthen and stabilize the ways in which eldership can be sustained, as opposed to Nene needs to get an award or Nene needs a special dinner, that tells him that he's amazing as an elder. I'm not interested in those things. Those things don't really
Right.
matter to me. Yeah.
Right. But it's a great answer, because essentially what you're saying is honor yourself or honor elders by just carrying on the intention and continuing to make action towards that intention. So that's,
Absolutely.
yeah, that's definitely awesome. And so one thing you talked about was elders organizing. So this next question is, in an ideal world, what role do you see elders playing in a healthy community? So how do you see elders organizing themselves in order to kind of keep that blueprint going over the years, just as it has done, that from thousands of years ago?
Well, it depends on what the focus is. So, for example, if you're doing work on policing or on social economy, economic development, and it's work that is broad range and requires a really sustained kind of leadership, then, if you're really African centered, in my view, you think about the best ways and most efficient ways in which our village matrix would work in a context like this.
Mm-hmm.
And it would work when we ground all of our work and our thinking in an understanding of what similar things we have done in the past in this area, what things we can learn from and build on, around having a clear plan, obviously, around having the right talent and resources around you, expertise and experience and so on, around having the right infrastructure to make things work, and then around having eldership support that provides feedback and input in a fashion that is a bit removed from the operational activities you're doing, but provide consistency, being a sounding board, second sober thought, that sort of thing, if needed, bringing big picture, visionary things forward, to get feedback, but not getting elders involved in the day-to-day running of things. Having that general kind of sense of support and guidance that is there in the background for you to call on when needed, and also to have a measure of accountability. So if you are messing up with the money or being inappropriate in different ways, the elders could call it a task to say, we need to meet and talk about some of these things and figure out what we're going to do, and give you some advice about things that we think might be helpful, etc., etc. So In a practical sense, the elders would be like almost like the Senate,
Yeah, like
which
a council.
receives information or bills that have already passed through the House, and it goes to the second chamber to say, okay, they've kind of done the groundwork, they've looked at everything, but they want us to take a final look at the big picture to see if there's anything we're missing before the thing goes ahead, you know? And so so I just came back from doing some work in Halifax with an organization where this structure was being created. And one of the challenges was that there were elders on the Elders Council who wanted to be much more active and involved, wanted to attend every meeting of the planning committee, wanted to be consulted and contacted as a kind of approval mechanism at every stage, basically. And we talked it through a bit because we wanted to make sure that the process had the benefit of the expertise that elders bring, but we didn't want to be intrusive or micromanaging something. So the compromise was that the elders would remain one step removed, provide guidance and support when needed. And then for particular things where the expertise of a particular elder might be needed, that person could step in, but only for that time-limited specific thing, not to be involved or be up in the business, the operational business, because that is not the elder's role.
Right.
So that was a kind of compromise made because the argument was, we have elders who are excellent in A, B, or C, but we're not using them, And so we said, okay, let's find a way to bridge that in terms of utilizing their expertise, but at the same time not being so intrusive, because young people need to find their legs in their own ways most of the time, and to get the support they need, but they need to fly, fly. So that's my vision of it.
Yeah. And like I definitely see the vision of it. And I think a lot of times people think that leadership means that there's only one, right? But we don't realize that like elders are needed in every single like sub community that is out there. And so there happens to be that like leadership role happening in multiple ways, like almost like star systems, right? Like there are a bunch of different star systems and they're all, organized in their own kind of way, but there are roles that are being played in a multitude of ways. So maybe in this complex, we have our group of elders that manage this, or when we go to this thing, there's a group of elders that do that. And I really see it as like an advisory council. So even when I get into like spirituality, you connect with your ancestral advisory council, and elders are simply just the physical representation of that personally to me.
Well said.
Yeah, that was a great answer. Great answer. So just to kind of bring this to a close, do you have a call to action for African youth across the world? Call to action just means like, is there some place that you'd like to send anyone who's listening to this interview, whether it's a link, a website, or whatnot, to either support what you have going on or to join in?
Well, my call to action generally to our young shining stars or brothers and sisters who are about the business of changing the world again, because we are always at the forefront of transformation and revolution. My call to action is vigilance, preparation, fortitude, and determination, that in every sphere of life, in health and education and criminal justice and child welfare and economic development and so on, we have a task ahead of us to be organized and to be persistent, to dismantle white supremacy wherever we find it, and to provide some healthy options that are centered and grounded in our collective experiences and our identity and our values, So we build our own institutions, we control our own economy, we provide our own disciplinary infrastructure for our young people, for everyone actually. And until we do those things well, where we have real power of control over those things, it's going to be a monumental struggle. And the struggle requires all of us being on board in a very practical and real way, but young people being the tip of the spear, because it is young people that has driven our agenda always historically, and it is young people who will continue to drive it. So I value and applaud the efforts of youth who are doing the work on the ground. Keep your back straight, keep your vision clear, your tenacity, your courage, your strength, your discipline, your power. Guard it and be grounded in spirit, be guided by your ancestors, and we will win. And we have won over and over again. We will win. We'll continue to win. So the struggle continues for all of us, and whatever I can do to support, I am here. We have groups all over the place doing amazing work in Africa, on the continent, in the Caribbean, in Canada, in the US. So I would say just find your niche and shine your light.
Ashe.
Ashe.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, Nene. This was actually amazing. And, you know, all I can say is infinite gratitude. Like, just we give gratitude to you and your work and your words, because, you know, spirit speaks. So thank you so much. And I'm going to close this off right here.